Hello there, good afternoon from wherever it is that you're watching this from. Welcome to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. My name is Robert K. Sakos, and today we'll be reviewing all the Saturday action from the English Premier League and beyond. We'll start off our journey at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal beat up against Nottingham Forest by 2-1 in what seemed to be an underwhelming performance from the Gunners for me. They looked sharp in the first half, but I guess it was given the change in the way they set up. Like I said, whatever Arsenal do this season will be judged based on what they did last season. Last season they looked sharp, faster, more lethal on the attack, but yesterday they looked a little bit out of pace. So the general performance for me looked a bit underwhelming when they were at home against a side that you thought was very much an underdog. The first half was largely brilliant, but there were surprises in the way they set up. They had Aaron Ramsdale in goal, Thomas Partey at right back, they had William Saliba and Ben White at centre back, while Urian Timber started at the left back. In midfield, you had Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Martin Odegaard, while Edin Nketiah led the front line alongside Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. Now, the performance in general, like I said in the opening half, was quite brilliant, but it wasn't until the 26th minute that they found their opening goal through Edin Nketiah with a cheeky assist from Gabriel Martinelli there. A couple of minutes later, Bukayo Saka showed us what he is made of with a brilliant strike. Now, his goal was similar to that of Mo Salah that he scored against Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, with William Saliba providing the assist there, but it was a brilliant strike and nothing Matt Turner could do about it, as Arsenal made it 2-0 by the 32nd minute. But before all that happened, they had survived a scare from Nottingham Forest forward Johnson, who struck over the bar in the 11th minute. So it was a bit of entertaining action, with Arsenal dominating all the possession in the first half, as you'd expect. The way they set up, oftentimes Thomas Partey would come into midfield, and then they would retain a bit of a shape of a back three there with William Saliba, Ben White, and Urian Timber, and then have Declan Rice in moments push a little further forward on the left flank there. You had Kai Havertz sort of chipping in a little deeper in the midfield as he also pushed forward. The second half, I thought they lacked strength. They lacked the attacking threat there, and the game was a bit dull. They didn't really push Nottingham Forest as you had hoped for, although Declan Rice had his shot saved by Matt Turner there as the game wore on until the 82nd minute, when Nottingham Forest pulled one back after Anthony Elanga came on and outpaced Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice as they tracked back from that corner kick, and then Arsenal ended up conceding that way. So the game ended 2-1. They did look. It was a bit nervy as it wore on, with Nottingham Forest looking for the equalizer. So I do not think in general that Arsenal played with the title credentials that we think they have. I personally having tipped them to win the Premier League this season, so they were unconvincing in their opening game of the Premier League. But all that aside, 3 points gathered, and they walked away with them, with Urian Timber there sustaining an injury. We are yet to know the extent of the injury, but early signs show it may not be as bad as we think. So we'll wait and see how it all spans out. Now, moving on, we go to St James's Park, where Newcastle dismissed Aston Villa in a 5-1 victory. Now, I may have underestimated Newcastle. They put on quite the show yesterday as they thumped Unai Emery's side by 5-1. Alexander Isak there scoring a brace, while Sandro Tonali opened the scoring on the day with a goal on his debut of the Premier League with Newcastle there. Callum Wilson was the other on strike, while Harvey Barnes also scored late in stoppage time as Newcastle beat Aston Villa thoroughly. Earlier on, Moussa Diaby, the new recruit for Aston Villa, had, put matters to level, but Issa quickly restored, the lead for Newcastle going into halftime before a second half that was largely dominated by the home team. Now, in my earlier predictions, if you have not yet checked them out, you can check out the video on my predictions for the Premier League season. I placed Newcastle to finish 9th, given their commitments on the European scene. Now, that performance doesn't change my prediction so much, but it makes me look at them in a different shape, especially given that Tottenham have lost Harry Kane, who moved to Bayern Munich. By the way, what a bad day for Harry Kane, just moving to Bayern Munich, and then they lost 3-0 to RB Leipzig in the German Super Cup. So, but anyway, that was that. Moving on elsewhere in the Premier League, you had AFC Bournemouth and West Ham settle for a 1-1 draw, with Gerard Bowen giving West Ham the lead, while Dominic Solanke gave Bournemouth the equalizer. Then we went to the Amex Stadium, where Brighton beat the newcomers Luton Town by 4-1. You had the likes of Solly March on target. You had Ferguson getting the fourth late on. You had João Pedro score a penalty in that game, while the other on target was Adingra that scored. Then Morris got the consolation for the visitors. So a brilliant result, like we had expected from Brighton. If you saw my preview of the first weekend of the Premier League, I did mention that Brighton were going to walk away with that one. So in the other result, Fulham shocked Everton at home, although Everton had a goal there, cancelled for what was considered to be an impediment on goalkeeper Ben Leno, as he attempted to collect the ball, but he eventually dropped it down and Everton scored, but that goal was cancelled. So Fulham won it by a 1-0, with Mitrovic suffering an injury in that game. He had not had a great pre-season. He has also had a bit of disrepute with the club, as they blocked his transfer to Saudi Arabia. Then in the other game, Sheffield United also lost at home against Crystal Palace by 1-0. So it was an action-packed weekend, or Saturday, from the Premier League, with Arsenal winning their game by 2-1, Aston Villa losing 5-1, Brighton winning by big margin there 4-1, Bournemouth and West Ham settling for a draw, Crystal Palace winning away against Sheffield United, just as much as Fulham did when they visited Everton. So that was the key action from the Premier League. Now, moving on. In Spain, you had also some games there, with Real Madrid beating up against Atletico Bilbao by 2-0. Rodrigo on the score sheet, as well as Jude Bellingham on his debut to make it 2-0. So they won their game. Las Palmas settled for a draw against Mallorca, while Real Sociedad also settled for a 1-1 draw against Girona. In other news making rounds today in the world of football, Italy have part ways with head coach or manager Roberto Mancini, just 10 months to the 2024 European Championship, the Euros that will be hosted in Germany in 2024. That's starting on, I think, June 14th to July 14th. But the two parties have agreed to part ways, so Italy are currently without a manager as we speak. And in the other news, speaking transfers, Neymar could be on his way to Saudi Arabia, with Al Hilal leading his pursuit there. It is also reported that Kylian Mbappe will be staying at PSG. Now, that was announced yesterday. We saw a video clip of Kylian Mbappe walking into the PSG room, despite reports that he had been, put out of the squad, so he didn't play in their game against Lorient that they drew 0-0 there in their first league game. But reports coming out of France say that he will be extending his contract until 2025, but it is largely because of the transfer business that they've done and the potential departure of Neymar. Now, I don't know how that factors in, but he looked really pretty excited in the stands as he watched the game alongside Ousmane Dembele, who they've just signed from Barcelona there. So Luis Enrique may as well have Kylian Mbappe on his attacking line come the next game when they play in the French League One. So that's some of the other news on the other side. Also in other transfer news, Arsenal winger Marquinhos has left for Nantes in France for a season-long loan. Nantes battled relegation last season, but it looks a growing trend that Arsenal are sending most of their players on loan to the French League One. You remember Nuno Tavares at Marseille last season. You remember Barragan was at Reims last season playing his football there. Now, before that, you had William Saliba play for Saint Etienne on loan before playing for Olympique Marseille again on loan, and then eventually returned to the Arsenal where he was more than phenomenal last season before his injury late on in the season, that back injury that he suffered as they played Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League. So they have sent Marquinhos to Nantes on loan to advance his, to get him more playing time, while also their youngster Charlie Patino has joined Swansea there on a season-long loan. Swansea in the Championship, where he will be getting more playing time. So that is all the biggest news across the world of football today. As we speak, or by the time you watch this, Tottenham will have already played Brentford, while Liverpool visit Chelsea there. We expect Nicolas Jackson from Villarreal to lead the lines for Chelsea in the absence of Christopher Nkunku. So, although most of their recent games have been largely dominated by draws, usually 0-0s, 1-1 or 2-2, we expect a good game to watch today. So, thank you for watching. If you're new, do not forget to subscribe, and if you're a usual suspect, do not forget to like, comment, and share, and invite your other friends to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, and see you next time.